Hello and welcome to Tommy's Game Table. My name's Tommy. There's lots of videos on YouTube, so I'd just like to thank you for clicking on this one. This is the first video on my channel. We're going to be talking about all things Dungeons & Dragons and tabletop gaming, war games, painting, world building, creating your own campaigns, character development, all that kind of stuff. I just want to try and encompass everything there is to do with making your gaming experience just that much better. First of all, I just have to thank my stepdad. He got me and my older brother into this game when I would have been about 11 or 12. My brother would have been about 13 or something like that. And it's been a huge part of our lives ever since. We've been big fans of high fantasy and sci-fi for as long as I can remember. And been playing this game on and off for over 20 years now. And I just want to try and introduce some people into this game because I know it can be a bit intimidating for some people, just because everyone's heard of this game. It sort of has this air of mystery and it definitely has a bit of a stigma. So this first video, I'm just sort of seeing if there's any interest out there for people who like to see what I do, see the stuff that I build, and if you'd like to learn how to make it yourself. I've had huge inspiration from channels like Black Magic Craft, Boylai Hobby Time. There's just a whole bunch of people out there making all this really cool stuff. There's a bunch of other people who are talking about specifically Dungeons & Dragons things like D&D Shorts. You got the DM Coach, a whole bunch of different guys out there. So I just sort of want to do something that encompasses a little bit of everything. We could start off by building some really basic stuff out of styrofoam. I got this idea off of Black Magic Craft, where you literally just get a little bit of styrofoam out of your TV box or whatever you get delivered from Amazon. Doing a little bit of burning, carving, and a bit of painting, and it makes the game table just look so much cooler. We can step up to things like rocks. They look super effective. They're very versatile. You can use them as pillars and all kinds of stuff, and they're really easy to make, so I can show you how to make those. And if you want to step it up just that little bit more, flocking is one of those things that I always found a little bit intimidating. But the moment I started doing it, I realized just how easy it is and how effective it looks. I've also got a friend who's been graceful enough to 3D print me a lot of stuff. And so a lot of that stuff is just basic painting just to make your stuff 3D printed, which already looks great. Just look a little bit better for your gaming experience and make your players go, wow, when you bring this stuff to the game table. On my first video, we might look at doing some of this basic stuff, and then we might even look at moving up to things like this little styrofoam house that I've built. This is literally maybe a piece of $5 styrofoam that I got from Linkcraft. I've just carved it up with a hot wire cutter, just a handheld one. They're like 20 bucks off Amazon, and just a little bit of paint, and it's amazing what you can achieve. The great thing about foam is you can make things as detailed and complex or as simple as you'd like them to be, depending on your skill level, or even just how much you can be bothered to make your game table look a little bit better. Furthermore, I'd love to talk to you about very, very basic sort of mini painting. There's people out there who are absolutely phenomenal at this, and I will never pretend that I am one of them. But I can teach you some tips just to make your gaming table look just a little bit better. If you want to really dive down into that sort of rabbit hole, there's a whole bunch of YouTube channels and people who are just absolutely amazingly artistic at doing this particular medium. But again, if you just want some basic tips just to make your stuff look a little bit cooler, I can definitely help you out there. Also, I'd love to talk to you about what these books mean and which ones you should buy, which ones maybe not as important for you to have, especially early on when you're first getting into the game. Also other games like Pathfinder, also play a little bit of Star Wars Edge of the Empire, and a bunch of other cool ones, Cyberpunk Red. There's all kinds of cool different RPGs and tabletop games that you can play, not just D&D. Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is probably my main game that I play most regularly. I've got a game that we run every fortnight with a group of friends, two of which that are absolute veterans, have been playing and know even more about the game than I do, and two of which that have never played, and they're my quote-unquote cool friends, and they seem to be absolutely loving it too and getting more and more into the hobby. We can talk also about making little props and stuff like that for your game table. Again, everything's just to try and immerse your players and make the whole experience seem so much cooler. So this is literally just a little bit of computer paper. I've tied a little ribbon around it, and in the campaign they had a little telegram that was delivered from the general in the town that they've just arrived in. So I've literally just printed this out, did a little basic tea stain on it. It's super, super easy, but you should have seen their faces when I pulled this out and let them read it the other day. It was great. Also, we could talk about how I like to sort of organize my games, what kind of notes I like to keep, what kind of maps I think are important to make, which ones you can just, draw up on the day, which ones you'd like to have a little bit more of a physical hard copy. So we can talk about everything from world building and character development. If you'd love to go right more into the absolute basics of Dungeons & Dragons and what you need to get your game going, definitely throw a comment in the comments below. We can talk about what dice you need, how many books you might need to start off with, or how fewer things you actually need to start off with, because a lot of people feel very overwhelmed by this hobby and think they need to go out and spend all this money and buy all the miniatures and buy all the books. That's not the case at all. If you've got like a lazy $50 in your bank account, you can buy everything you need to get going with a group of friends. And then if you still like the game, it's one of those things where you can continue to invest in as much as you would like to, really. So again, if you'd love to learn more about the actual game itself and what's in these books, the mechanics of how you play, how to get into the game if you're thinking about getting into it but you just don't have a group of friends or anything that you can get it rolling, we can also talk about sort of strategies and ways that you can get a game happening for you and your friends. But again, throw any comments in the comments below of things that you'd like to know, anything to do with tabletop RPGs, from building, world building, character making your dungeon mastering, being a player, all that kind of stuff. I'm more than happy and here to answer those questions for you. But if this interests you, please throw a comment in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for clicking on this channel and have an awesome day.